Good Friday, everyone. We are in the shop today with Munchie, and we have got a big day planned for Munchie because today Munchie is getting a new set of teeth. And I'm gonna show you guys what we got and what we're gonna be doing. So let's get started. All right, if you're familiar with my channel, you're probably very familiar with this attachment. If you're not, this is a Prinoth M450e-900 mini excavator mulcher. We got this on a Kubota U55, which is basically like a 6-ton class machine, 47 horsepower. And I don't know what the 450 stands for. The E stands for excavator, and then the 900 is this width in millimeters, which is about 35 inches. So this is like a 36-inch mulcher basically. And these teeth are completely pretty much done. That's a let's see which one's there's one on here that's like really bad. That one's pretty bad. It's like all the way to the corner right there. And I mean, this one is really bad. You know, there's not much there left. You can technically take these teeth all the way to that line there, but I mean, when you look on the underside, there's just not much there to make an edge out of. I mean, there's very little. They still cut, but it's time for a new set of teeth. Just to give you guys a little bit of reference, the first job I ever used this on was April 23rd of 2021. These are the original set of teeth that are on this head. So I have been very, very pleased with the life of the teeth. I've probably got, I'm gonna say somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 hours. I don't know exactly, but just going back over all the jobs that I have posted, some that I didn't post that I've mulched with this thing, it's somewhere in that ballpark. Just to give you an idea so here's a new tooth. We'll go. So yeah, there's a reference for you, new versus old, of what that looks like. So definitely very happy with the life of the teeth. These teeth cost me $27.50 a piece, $27.50. Times 20 of them, and it rounds out with tax at exactly $600 to replace the teeth on this. Some of these I'm going to keep, like on the end here. Some of these aren't too bad. Like that one's not that bad. That one's not too bad. And so I'll probably keep a handful of these in case I'm out one day, you know, into the future. Like that one's not bad. And I just totally destroy a tooth hitting something. I'll have, you know, and these already have, you know, the new set will have 100 or so odd hours on them. They're already worn. You don't want to put a new tooth on with a set of worn teeth. So if I've got a couple ones that are already worn, it'll balance the head. Because if I were to just replace like the really bad ones on here with a new tooth, it would completely throw off the balance of the head, and it would wobble really bad and probably wear on the bearings a little bit. So when you replace, you know, if you're going to replace one new on these mulchers, you need to replace all of them new. But if you've got some old teeth that are in similar condition to what, you know, your other teeth are, like let's say like, you know, I want to just, you know, if I had, you know, half a dozen ones that are like in this condition, I could come through here and replace these, and this head would probably not come out of balance really at all. But I don't, this is the first set, so I'm going to keep some of these, and the rest will just go in the scrap pile and I'll recycle them. So just go over what we got here. The mounting on these Prinoths is a little different than like say the Fecon or the CMOS. A lot of those have a single bolt either in the, like that kind of goes through the center of the tooth, typically like in the back, and it'll kind of come out the front in the middle. And this one has 2 bolts, and a lot of the other manufacturers have an actual like a standard bolt head. Like let's see, I've got some over here. Like this is not for a mulcher, but they'll have just a standard bolt head on them. But these are inset. These are 13 millimeter inset hexes, which I really like, because if you were to hit something really hard or some piece of metal were to get up in here and it were damage the outside of this, you might have a problem. If this was a traditional style bolt, you may have a problem getting that off of there without possibly maybe having to cut it. But this one, because it's inset, you know, it's a little more protected as far as getting the the ratchet on it or whatever. So I got the gun. I'm gonna put some no-sees on the bolts. I don't know if these came with no-sees from the factory, but I'm gonna put some no-sees on them. I saw that on another video of a guy mulching. He recommended putting no-sees on your bolts no matter what head you're running. And I've got this big ass torque wrench. Where is it? Yeah, so I bought this torque wrench because these bolts have to be torqued to in foot-pounds, it's 191 foot-pounds. So I just cranked this thing up to 192, rounded it off at 192. And then after I change these teeth, I'll run it, on a job for a couple hours, and then I'll come back with the torque wrench and check all the bolts again just to make sure. We're not changing the bolts. As long as the bolts aren't damaged, they're still reusable. So that's pretty much that. If you guys got any questions, hit me up in the comments. Stay tuned to the end. I'm going to show you guys a little trick too. If you're running attachments on a mini excavator, I'm going to show you guys a little trick to help you hook up your attachments for something like a mulcher or a brush cutter. So stay tuned to the end. I'll show you guys something really cool as well with that. And let's start yanking these teeth off. Whoop. I'm loosening. Okay. Oh, fudge. This is a problem. Come on. Oh, these bolts did not want to come off. They've been on there for a year and they probably were not, they probably didn't have any no-sees on them. Yeah. Whew. I heated it up a little bit to see if it would come loose. It didn't want to come loose, so I put the torch to it just to heat it up, see if that would help. But I'll show you guys. The inside of the actual tooth holder right here is not threaded. Only the tooth itself is threaded, so that's what you're trying to break free when it comes to mounting these teeth on here. I got a little bit of junk right in there I got to get out too. Okay, let's see if we can get the rest of them. That's one down, 19 to go. You can get a better idea how worn this tooth is, and there's just nothing there left. It's a little hot, but not much there left to make an edge with, to cut. Ow, that's hot. see if I can get that one off. Nope. Come on. Well, damn. Go in there. Go in your hole. Doing this by yourself sucks. Come on. Damn it. Oh, you know what? I don't like that. Every time I try to put this thing in there, the mulcher wants to freaking move. Come on. Go. Let's see if not putting the impact on it will help, maybe. The other one definitely seemed to go easier after I put the impact on it than this one. There it went. Well, oh, I'm an idiot. All right, Prinoth, if you're watching, this is a poor design right here, because it is very hard to get a ratchet onto this bolt with this carbide tooth in the way. That was a little scary there for a second. I didn't know if I was going to be able to fit that in there, but it goes in by the hair of its chinny chin chin. So maybe move that tooth back just a hair. That'd be nice. All right, got all the teeth off, and there's the bolts. I thought I was going to be able to just get all these off with the little DeWalt electric impact that I've got, but they would not. It just didn't have the power to get them broke loose, so I had to use the pull bar with a cheater bar to get them to come off, which was kind of a pain. I used the impact because I could see the impact would move them a little bit, but it just wouldn't get them all the way gone, broke loose. So that's why I was hitting it twice. I would hit it with the impact and then take the cheater bar to it, because it did feel like that made it a little easier to break them loose. But got them all off, and got them all. I took a brush and just kind of cleaned everything up right there where they mount. What we're going to have to do here is there's going to be a little bit of controlled chaos with this, because so here's a good example. If I put this tooth here, let me grab one. If I put a tooth here like this, that tooth right there is going to be in the way of me trying to get the bolts in right here for this tooth. So I'm going to have to stagger these and make sure I'm not getting in the way of getting these things in. So it's going to take a little bit of time. Like, here's another example. If I put that there, that could be in the way of me trying to get the wrench in right here to get this bolt tightened down. So this is going to get a little interesting. I'm a little worried about where this carbide is over here, right there, but I should be able to make that work, I think. So, all right, let's start putting on some teeth. I got a bottle of no-sees, and I'm just going to coat everything in there, those threads in there, along with the bolts themselves. They are a little rusty. I'll probably just take a brush. I got a brush over there. I'll just kind of brush them a little bit. Some of them are pretty clean. Like this one's pretty clean. Some of them do have some rust on them. I don't know why some are different, but I'll brush them up, clean up a little bit, and just coat the hell out of them with no-sees, and we'll get a Munchie a fresh set of teeth. I'm fully aware I'm going to have this no-see stuff all over my hands, but if I go put on a pair of nitrile, it's just, I'm probably just going to wear right through them and whatever. Oh well. Says as long as you don't get it in your eyes or swallow it, should be alright. That's all we're doing. And this stuff will keep the bolts from rusting into the the threads and getting stuck in there. Like I said, we'll check the torque, you know, after I get, you know, on the next job I go do, I'll run it for an hour or two, and then we'll check the torque. Good thing is that, you know, most of the time when I'm running the head, you know, the head is not facing directly back towards the machine. So, you know, if I am going to throw a tooth, you know, in the first couple hours, it's either going to go that way or out that way, you know, and it's not going to, most likely not going to come back at me. Now, on a skid steer, a little bit different. I might need to torque that down first. Let me see. Yeah. Let me see really quick right here if I'm going to be able to get this head torque wrench in here. Make this work. See? Yeah, we're going to need to take that tooth off. I'm going to need to go ahead and torque that one down really quick. Let's take this bag off. This is, I'm going to go ahead and say this is a bit of a design flaw with this particular head when it comes to this. It's not impossible to get around, but it is a bit of a pain in the butt to have to deal with when it comes to these teeth. You can't just put them on left and right. You're going to have to kind of stagger them as you put them on, and you're going to have to torque them as you put them on too in some cases. Oh, that's the wrong way. Oh, no, I was right. I'm an idiot. Yeah, come on. I can't get that. Now we gotta see if I can get 190 foot-pounds on this thing. There it went. Okay. Oh, there it went. All right. Whew. Okay. Let's go ahead and just torque this one while I'm at it. See that's, uh-oh, we might, this is gonna be a problem. Shoot, I can barely get to that one. With this torque wrench. This is a problem. Barely. Barely getting into that bolt right there. All right. All right. Now if I can get it out. No. Damn. Well. Yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a pain. I need to mark those really quick so I know that I've torqued them. Let me go try to find something to mark them with. So I'm going to take a permanent marker and I'm going to put an X across the top of the teeth that I've torqued, so I know those are good. And then I've torqued them and I don't have to come back to them. So we'll know that they're good. And like I said, we will check these again after the first couple of hours when we get into some mulching with them. I'll show you. That torque wrench just barely fits in that space between the top of that bolt right there. I mean, it's rubbing actually, depending on how I hold the wrench. So I don't particularly like that, you know, this design when it comes to kind of changing out these teeth. It cuts great, don't get me wrong about that. And I mean, you can see the pattern, how they stagger these teeth when it comes around. I mean, so these two right here, that one and that one are level, that one and that one are level, and then they're staggered. So that one cuts, and then it comes around, that one cuts, and then that one cuts. So you can kind of see how they're staggered in the pattern. And it's a good pattern. Obviously, they've done a lot of work designing this, but it does make changing these teeth and putting the new teeth back on somewhat not impossible, but slightly challenging. All right, Munchie's got a brand new set of chompers on her. And the only one, so I got this one marked as bolt. So I'm gonna take that bolt out. I put it in there just for a second, just so I could pressurize this thing and spin it up, because I want to show you guys something. So I figured out that, so what I just did was I hooked the mulcher up and I turned the machine on and I spun it up for just a second on low throttle just to pressurize the whole system. Now think about this as a big high pressure closed circuit, right? You have oil coming from one side, goes in to the mulcher, goes through the motor, and then comes back out and goes back to the tank, and then it just keeps going around. The oil just goes in a big circle under pressure, a lot of pressure. Okay, and that's what spins the mulcher, is that oil just making that loop. And as it makes that loop, it spins a set of gears basically in this hydraulic motor that's in here and turns this drum. What happens is these little quick connects, so if I were to undo these quick connects right here, right, you can see how stiff they are. This whole system is under a lot of pressure right now. So if I were to undo these and unclick them from here, so I'd unclick this side, I'd unclick that side. If I were to do that, right, from the end of this fitting all the way through the motor, all the way to the end of this fitting, would all be under a lot of pressure. it would be trapped, that pressure would be trapped inside the mulcher from the end of this hose to the end of that hose, and then all the, you know, and then through the motor. What happens is, if all this is under pressure, you cannot get these quick connects to up click. They won't go up in there. They will not click. The only thing to do is to crack these lines and relieve the pressure, and basically let the oil out and try to release some of that pressure. And that's a pain in the butt. You're gonna have to have something, depending on how much oil comes out. You might have to catch the oil so you don't spill it. And it is just kind of a pain to, you know, crack these hydraulic lines. So here's what you do. To do this, you can do this on pretty much any machine, I think, but you've got to have a thumb. So what we're gonna do, so I'm gonna show you guys a little trick. I'm gonna grab my wrench. So we're gonna go over here, we're gonna take, so the diverter valve, so the oil comes down through this line and then it diverts over to the mulcher side. So I'm gonna turn this valve and I'm gonna divert the oil back over to the thumb, to this line. So I'm gonna turn this over that way and you'll see the little arrows. So now the oil is flowing to the thumb. And we're gonna do that on this side as well. Gotta do it on both sides. I'm gonna take that and turn it this way. All right, so now if the oil comes through here, instead of going into the mulcher, it's gonna go into the thumb, but all this pressure is still trapped in here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the machine on, but not crank it up. We're just gonna turn the battery on. So we're gonna turn the battery on, machine's on. I'm gonna put the handle down and I'm gonna turn the thumb on, all right? So now my thumb is on and I'm gonna let the pressure out. So I'm gonna move this rocker switch like if I was gonna activate the thumb, and watch what happens. So all that pressure, and typically that thumb will come down a lot more than that. It must not have as much pressure as it typically does, because I didn't spin it full blast with the throttle all the way up. Now what you can do is, so the system on this side has relieved all the pressure into the cylinder of the thumb. Then you can turn this, so all this pressure, this is all still pressurized. This is not pressurized, okay? So we're gonna turn the valve back over, and now the pressure in this system, and this side, in the mulcher side, has now equalized. It's pushed back and equalized back through here, where there is very little pressure. So now when I go to unhook these, there's very little pressure in these lines from here all the way through the system back to here. And so when I go to click these back up, they should just click right back up very, very easily. So if you have a problem, you know, hooking up your stuff with these quick connects on these excavators, this is a really easy way. As long as you have this diverter valve and a thumb, this is a good way to equalize the pressure in the system. Otherwise, you're gonna have to crack these heads. Same thing applies for this side. A lot of times what I'll do to relieve pressure on this head too is I'll do the same thing. I'll let the pressure out of the thumb, or you know, I'll let the pressure out, come out of the thumb, and then I'll switch it back over to this side, you know, before I hook, you know, this is when I'm hooking it up. So before I go to hook it up, sometimes this side will be pressurized here. Pressure will get trapped in this side. And so I'll turn it back, I'll relieve it out of the thumb so there's no pressure, and then I'll turn it back over. And so now all of this is unpressurized as well. So you don't have any pressure on this side and you don't have any pressure on that side, and everything should just click right back up. So I hope that makes sense. But basically you're using the thumb cylinder as a pressure relief valve to relieve pressure in the mulcher system. And then same thing when you hook it back up, you can use this thumb cylinder to relieve pressure in this side before you hook the mulcher up, so you can relieve pressure on this head as well, this side of the head. So that's how you do that. So if that makes sense. All right, well, Munchie's got a new set of teeth. I'll go get a new bolt for that one on Monday, and we'll stick that in. I got a job tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be a good one. You're not going to want to miss that. So, all right, I'm going to set this thing down, and it's about 4:30 on Friday. I'm going home. Misty's out of town, so it's me and the dog on the couch for the night. Sounds like Chinese food and ice cream, and me and the dog. So maybe a movie. I don't know. So, all right, well, I'm out of here, and more stuff to come, and I will check you guys later. Bye, everybody.